opening statement. For that, if you would like a question, please feel free to raise your hand. Opening statement by Caleb. Let's go ahead, Caleb, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so we knew it would be a difficult game. I said that the last several days. They've got good players. They were a good team last year. That's not going to change with a couple results that haven't gone their way. When you're playing a wounded animal like they were, you know they're going to fight. And you could see clearly first 12 to 15 minutes what the plan was, be very physical, chop the game. But they did a good job of breaking our rhythm. I think they had like 8 fouls in the first 12 minutes. So we have to obviously deal with that better. I thought as a game, first half wore on, we started to find some space to play. And, really, I think the 0-0 was fair at half. And I thought second half, the game was set up nicely for us to, at the very least get a point, maybe steal 3 points. That's what you want. You want to be in that position around the 60th minute. And they looked like they were never going to really score. They weren't threatening us. And we make our 2 subs to give us a little push, and literally 5 seconds before they're even in the game, we give away a tough goal. It's a young kid, obviously. We feel for Booba. That's a big, critical moment in the match, obviously, game-changing moment. But then I think from there, we got to respond a little bit better. We were close in a couple moments, obviously offsides and Adi scores. But in the end, it wasn't enough. So we have to keep it in perspective. We have to learn from it. Obviously, we have not much time to turn around and go again. But it's still a process, and we've been on a good run. Obviously, 6 games with no losses. This is our first loss, and we'll use it to get better, of course. And we have to obviously respond now in this next game versus a rival in a big match.
Thank you, Caleb. For our first question, we're going to go to Brett Hilbrun, who is in the Fox Sports Ohio studio for the post-game show. Brett, go ahead.
Caleb, did you expect the physicality, specifically with the fouling, and when the game is like that and you have basically no chance to develop a rhythm, what's the best way to combat that, to get on the front foot?
Yeah, you just have to play quicker, and you have to play through it. And, they were coming very hard on the first pass, a lot of body contact. I was definitely unhappy with the way it was being managed, but you can't control that. So we have to just move the ball quicker. We have to look more second line and then roll off so that we can, use that pressure against them. And, I think we did adjust as the half wore on. And again, second half, I thought the game was set up nicely for us to at least get a point. And I thought we would find, as they started to get reckless and push numbers forward and get desperate, I thought we'd find a goal. It's just disappointing that we, gave them a goal basically, with a back pass. And, I think that's a tough one. We haven't made mistakes like that this year. Ideally we want an opponent, if they score, for it to be a good goal where they break us down and, not obviously get caught on the ball like that. So Booba will learn from it. Obviously we support him. He's a young player. If you're a central defender, you're going to have, mistakes like that, but you hope you learn from it and, not let it happen again. But at the end of the day, I thought we could have also just had a better push, and, I think we looked a little tired, as well at the end. So we have to keep it in perspective, and learn from it. And obviously none of us are happy about the result. Could have gone a different way, but in the end, it didn't. And we'll look at it, file it away, and get ready. And I know there'll be a response from my group. I know guys are going to step up and respond, and that's what good teams do. Good teams with character.
Thanks, Caleb. Next question will go to Jacob Myers.
Caleb, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but was this the type of game maybe you expected from two teams who expect to compete at the top of the East, not really giving an inch to either side?
Yeah, it was definitely a tight game. It was a battle. Again, they're a good team. They just needed that little bit of breakthrough. They got it. Unfortunately, they got it through us, kind of gifting them a goal. But that was a big moment in the match because, if we get the first goal or if it stays 0-0, I'm feeling good about where things are at because, I knew that they were desperate, and I just thought it was really set up nicely for us. We made a little bit of a push with two subs, and we never got a chance to kind of find that goal, and we were down even before they were in the game. So just the timing of it, the way we gave up the goal, goals change games. I always say it, and I thought it just gave them life. It lifted them. It was what they needed just to kind of, gain confidence. And obviously for us, it was a bit of a backbreaker.
Next question will go to Patrick Murphy. Pat, go ahead.
Caleb, what do you say to Booba when he comes off the field? As you mentioned, young player, mistakes happen, but what's your message to him after a game when he has that mistake?
Yeah, I think, again, learn from it. That's the biggest thing. You never want to give up goals like that. You don't accept mistakes like that, but also they do happen. You got Jonah next to him who's played, 12 years longer, and he knows that better than anyone. So it's nice to have a guy that can kind of, I'm sure, share a few stories of goals he's given away over the years. And, it hurts because obviously it cost us the game. But, when you play young players, that some of those things are going to happen. And it's a process, and that they're going to make mistakes, and they need to just learn from them, and not let it happen again.
Thank you, Caleb. Next question goes to Brett. Brett, go ahead.
You mentioned being a little bit tired towards the end. How challenging is the travel in and out in the same day? And do you think that affected a little bit of the legs there towards the end?
I don't think so. It is our first time doing this. None of us have played a game where we traveled in on the day of the game, but they also traveled too. And I made that point to the guys before the game that, we traveled, they traveled, they had to take a bus, from Jersey, and we were literally on the plane for an hour. So it doesn't really matter whether or not it affects us. We have to deal with it and manage it because this is the way it's going to be. But I didn't think it was really a factor. I just think we probably looked a little tired just because it's our second game in basically 5 days.
Thanks, Caleb. If you would like a question, feel free to click the raise hand button. Up next, we'll go to Jacob.
Caleb, you talked about them pressing in the midfield and whatnot. Where were you just trying to get the ball into attacking spaces? And did you feel like you guys did that enough?
Again, I think, and you've seen it without a pocket winger, without Lucas, it's a little easier to kind of take away that ball through the lines. We worked a lot on, finding G off the line, which I think we did quite a bit in that first half, because when you're only playing with Pedro, they can kind of lock in on him. And so we need either Derek, we worked on that, Derek or Giassi pulling off the line to be able to play through the lines. Otherwise, they can just step and take away, our 6 and our 8. And unless we play through the lines into those pockets in between the midfield and back four, then, they could disrupt us. But, I think it was one of those days where, again, we missed that bit of quality in tight spaces, in the layers. Lucas will certainly help with that. Once we have a pocket winger, we're having now 2 guys inside. The options become easier and cleaner. it makes it a little bit more difficult for them, the opponent, to stop us. But, it's something we have to deal with, obviously, until we can get all the spokes in our wheel back going again like we like them.
Thanks. Up next, Pat.
Caleb, I asked you about Sebastian coming off the bench the other night, but giving him the start tonight, what did you make of him giving you more minutes tonight and playing next to Nagby and kind of taking on that role that Artie usually plays?
Yeah, I thought he had a solid game. He ran hard. He worked. He helped us keep the ball. I think it was a solid shift for him. We knew with Darlington and Artie that they're not going to play all 6 games, in 21 days. So we felt obviously we needed someone to step in. Artie, he was pretty leggy after the first game, wasn't recovering, a little sore. So we knew we had to be smart. So we have to make these type of decisions, and it's nice that you can put him in. I don't think he was. I don't think we missed too much of a beat with him. I think there were some other positions where maybe we didn't have the best individual performances. So that's something again we got to look at, because in other games we've seen a little bit better performances with some guys that we've rotated in. So we'll have to kind of look at that, and for the future, think about that a little bit.
And for our final question of the segment with Caleb Porter, we're going to go to Brett. Brett, go ahead.
We might get in the weeds here a little bit tactically, but when the game is quick like that, especially when there's an opportunity where you're playing somebody a bit of a hospital ball, is that just a matter of getting some cleaner looks for like an up, back, and through, or are you just trying to find feet to maybe get a good turn and then really get off to the races at that point?
Generally, or in the moment where we gave up the goal?
Specifically to the goal.
No, I just think it's a bad pass. Nothing that if he rolls it out to Jonah, then we're up the field.
Just like open up your hips and go the other way then?
Underhit it. No, he just underhit it. Yeah, he just played a square ball that was underhit that the guy picked off. So he just didn't hit it hard enough. I mean, we cycle the ball all the time from center back to center back. He just didn't hit the ball, didn't weight it right. So if it was a firm pass, then obviously it gets to Jonah and we're up the field.
Thank you, Caleb. That's going to wrap up the segment with Caleb Porter today. Thank you, Caleb. Up next, we're going to have Hector Jimenez.
Hi, Carlos. We've got Hector Jimenez. What's up, guys?
Hey, Hector.
What's going on?
Thank you for joining us. If you like a question, click raise hand. First question, we'll go to Brett Hilbrand. Brett, go ahead.
When the game's quick and physical like that, what's the best way for you guys to respond on the field to kind of combat that and get on the front?
Yeah, I think just match their intensity. I think from the whistle, they came in and they interrupted our play. You know, the first probably 15 minutes, they had, I don't know, 10 fouls possibly. But we just got to match their intensity and kind of like play through it. It was a difficult match, but I think we deserve a little bit better there.
Thanks, Hector. Next question will go to Jacob Myers.
Hector, I'm sure you've been in a similar situation as Booba in your career. What do you just say to a player like that? I know obviously he has a lot of upside and he's a guy that can move on quickly from a play. Just what do you say to him?
Absolutely, man. We got to have his back, and we hope that those mistakes don't happen again. He's still young in his career. You know, we just got to pick him up. The good thing is, you know, we have a lot of more games coming up soon, so hopefully he can bounce back from it. And it's something that we can all learn from. You know, there's going to be mistakes throughout the year, so if we can, you know, support each other when those kind of things happen, have each other's back, I think it'll go a long way. And you know, he'll be fine. He's a young kid, and he's still learning.
Thanks, Hector. Up next,
Hector, it looked like you were getting pushed in centrally a little bit. They were forcing Tinnerholm up to drop Derek back. Am I reading that right? And how do you guys combat that if teams look at that and try and do that more often?
Yeah, I feel like especially in the first half, I think there was an overload on our left side, their right side. So it's something that we got to look at, and I'm sure, you know, the coaching staff will have a better game plan for next time when we play them or we play a similar team. But it's a situation where we just got to get shift over and keep everything in front of us. You know, we'll take a look at the video, and I'm sure we'll analyze it. But I agree that, you know, they were overloading one of their sides, our left side, you know, keeping Derek a little bit further back. But with that said, I mean, today I think we didn't create much forward. I mean, we did create a few chances. We had 3 goals that got called back. They were offsides, but the good thing, like I said, we have another game in 4 days, and we'll see how we respond back, hopefully in a positive way.
thanks, Hector. Up next, we go to Brett.
Hector, was the travel a challenge for you guys as far as, you know, on the plane, off the plane, at the stadium, and then getting ready to play?
Not so much, but it is different, you know, flying in the day of the game. You know, you just get in, you have lunch, you lay back for a little bit, and then, you know, you got the game. Definitely something new, but the way the format and the games that are coming fast, it's something that we have to adjust to. And with this experience, I'm sure we'll get better throughout the year with it. But it has its challenges, but at the end of the day, you know, we're professionals and we just got to step on the field and perform.
Thanks, Hector. We still have time for more questions. If you would like one, just click the raise hand button. Up next, we go to Ori. Ori, go ahead.
I'm kind of curious, Hector. You mentioned about needing to match the intensity, but with all the fouls that New York City were kind of accumulating in that first half, do you feel like the referee should have dealt a few more yellows in that situation just based on the accumulation, even though the fouls were not necessarily hard challenges?
I would say so. I think you know, not to blame the ref, but at the end of the day, like, you got to have control of the game. You know, I think, you know, Darlington got fouled probably 5-6 times there in the 10-minute, and that's somebody you got to look after. They're trying to interrupt their play. I think if you give a yellow card early in the game, a little, you know, it might relax them or calm them down a little bit. But definitely, I think, you know, the first yellow came after probably the 13th foul, and it's just got to be a little bit better. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, referees make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but I think he could have done a little bit better job there in the first half.
Thanks, Hector. Still have time for more questions. If you like one of the next questions, click raise hand. Up next, we'll go to Jacob.
Hector, generally, is this the type of game you expect between two teams who expect to compete at the top of the East and be at the top of the table at the end of the year?
Yeah, you know, it's
Just the physicality of it all.
absolutely. And you know what? They came out and they were physical, just knowing that, you know, we haven't lost a game yet. We haven't really conceded a goal off the run of play. It was a team that needed to win. And again, you know, those games happen in the East where it's just physical. And I don't know if we play them again, but, you know, hopefully next time around, even with similar teams, we can match the physical aspect of it and, you know, get a better result at the end. I still think today, even though we weren't as sharp offensively, at least we deserve a point. It was, like I said, it's a mistake that happens, and hopefully, we support Uba and he learns from it, and we move forward.
Thank you. Next, we go to Brett.
You've had a couple different combinations there on that back line, and obviously outside of the bad pass there that led to the goal, maybe a half chance through Tinnerholm there. I think early on in the second half. The defense though still seems to be really, really strong and cohesive despite some new guys coming in and out. How do you guys kind of prepare for that, knowing that you can kind of slot anybody in there at any time?
Oh yeah, I think Caleb brought it up earlier in the week, or maybe earlier today. We've had 21 players step in this season and perform. And like I said, it was just we haven't given up a goal and run a play. It's next man up, and a lot of the guys have gotten opportunities during this MLS back tournament, and they've proven, they showed that they should be getting some minutes. And the communication and the practice field, everything's been great, man. And it's nice to see the hard work that we put in, just on the weekends, on the games, just show up. And it's unlucky that we give up a goal today, but we just clean up those little things, and I think we'll be fine. We're making it hard for teams to break us down, and on the other side, hopefully we can create some more chances going forward as well.
Thanks, Hector. And for a final question of the segment with Hector, we're going to go to Pat.
Hector, you mentioned it before, quick turnaround, but first loss, first time you give up a goal from the run of play. What's the mentality as a leader? What do you tell the guys to make sure you respond against Cincinnati, especially in a rivalry game like that?
Yeah, like I said, the good thing is we have another game coming up against Cincinnati in 4 days. I'm sure we'll take a look at the film and learn from the mistakes and take the positive we did today. And the mentality is the same. We just got to bounce back, and it's. I think we're in a good place though, man. And it's our first loss of the year. We wanted to go, undefeated if possible. You just never know when those things can happen. But the team will bounce back, and we'll get a good response from the guys that step on the field on the next game.
Thank you, Hector. We appreciate it. This is going to wrap up the segment with Hector Jimenez. Up next, we have Jonathan Mensah.
Lakers up 20, Heck.
Everyone, it'll be just a couple minutes. Jonathan will be right with us. Please hang tight.
Carlos, we've got Jonathan Mendes.
Yes, if you would like a question, please click raise hand button. Jonathan, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you for having me on.
First question will go to
Jonathan, next to Booba for that play as a captain, what do you say that for a young player?
You know, my position, I actually pointed the goalkeeper because, you know, we worked on it, and but I think he didn't look at the, you know, the player close to me before he passed that ball. But hey, I told him, head up, let's keep going and find the goal. But we scored, I think, 2 or 3 goals. You know, they called offside. So, you know, we need to put this game behind us, look at some film and correct some things we need to improve on, and move on to the next game.
Thanks, Jonathan. Up next, we have Ori.
Jonathan, I asked this to Hector, and I also want to hear what you have to say about it. Do you think the officials should have been giving more yellows potentially in the first half with how physical New York City was being, even though the challenges weren't as menacing?
I think, you know, there's a lot of questions to be asked about the officiating today, because we also from the start of the game, they started tackling Darlington and Pedro, you know, which is 2 of, you know, our best players. And you know, we spoke to the referee. You know, I spoke to the referee, and whenever I went to him to talk to him, he's like, hey, let me do my job. And I'm like, do it well then. But he kept, you know, pushing me off, let me do my job, let me do my job. But at the end of the day, we all saw the game, and they should have, you know, gotten a couple of yellow cards, but they just had 1 throughout the game. And you know, sometimes, you know, we just need to, you know, forget about the referees and play our game, because sometimes they're gonna be like that.
and we need to kind of like play through that.
Thanks, Jonathan. We have time for plenty of questions, so just click the right-hand button if you would like a question. Up next, we go to Pat Murphy.
Jonathan, as a young player like Booba is, and in a system like you guys play where you want to play out of the back, how long does it take to kind of learn? You mentioned he doesn't necessarily look up. That's not a thing that a lot of young kids think about, I think. How long does it take to learn those things? And does it have to come through maybe making a couple mistakes like that?
It's tough, because when we work on these things in training and we get into the game, we all locked in to go. So the more we minimize this kind of mistakes, the more we can execute the game plan and break teams down. So in this case, this happened. I'm sure he's going to learn. He's going to let it go, and improve upon that, because this cannot happen again, because we're a team that keep improving. So these are type of mistakes that you do once in a while, but at the end of the day, you need to let it go, improve, and step into the next game and make it better.
Thanks, Jonathan. Again, we have time for plenty more questions. If you would like one, just click raise hand. Up next, we go to Jacob.
Jonathan, just as a team, how do you feel like you guys handled their pressure? Obviously, they started from the beginning with that intensity. And what did you see in terms of how maybe you guys could have done better to bypass that?
I think the game plan was to soften their pressure, which we did. But sometimes as we play through the pressure, they kind of fouled us. And I think if we got a couple of yellow cards in there, we would have played it the way it came to us. But the referee kind of like let it go. I can mention a couple of names that they should have had the yellow cards, because they tackled like continuous, like 3 times. The referee didn't say anything, but at the end of the day, we let this go. We watch films, improve, and go again.
If you like one of the final questions, please click raise hand. We're going to go to Pat Murphy. Pat, go ahead.
In a game like this, when the other team's being physical, the referee's not giving the cards like you were just saying, is there something to maybe you guys just being more physical back and kind of stepping up to that level, or is that just not how you guys want to handle it?
Yeah, I think individually, I think you need to be up for the battle, because it's a fight. Every game we play, we start from the whistle. Everyone is fighting for the same 3 points. So as an individual, you kind of like do your job, and you need to be physical, because this league is one of the physical leagues in the world. And obviously, if you're playing these kind of games, you need to be physical. So I think in that aspect, we need to kind of like raise our physicality and match their intensity as well.
Thanks, Jonathan. Looks to be the last question, so that's going to wrap up tonight's post-match press conference availability. Jonathan, thank you for joining us, and thank you to those of you who took the time to join us.